Hey up. Now then, so this is the second time I'm attempting this video. The first time, I accidentally doxed myself and a few of my friends, like, I think 3 times, tried editing over it and calling myself an idiot for doing that. And for some reason, the video won't export. I left it overnight to try, and it didn't even get halfway. And I'm not uploading it raw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole thing again from scratch. Different map. This is probably the only one I'm going to be able to do now. Because I didn't realise this at the time. My work-life balance is non-existent. I have literally an hour tonight to do something, and I'm now choosing to do this. And I hope it doesn't take up the full hour. Yeah. So, sorry that this hasn't been more. It's just been a complete shit show. Anyway, getting into it, I'm just going to give some credentials, some background first. I have been planning for about 3 years now, give or take. I did about 2 years of those at SSX, then came back to GT40, and since I've been here, I've done, I think, maybe 6 seasons planning. I think. It might not have even been that long. But yeah, one of those we did get War Champ, and actual gameplay wise, I've had 5 War Champs, and I've been in GT between the 2 times that I've been here. It's been over 10 seasons, so I'd like to think I know roughly what I'm talking about. Now, getting into things, I'll stop yapping, because no one wants to fucking hear me yap. I'll actually get to what you came to this video for. But when we're done with this, please let me know if this was helpful, if you want to see more of this next off-season. Hopefully I have a bit more time to do more. But yeah, I'll start off with Path 1. So we've got this Storm X on the regen node. Anyone with heal block, really. You can send Warlock to this, that's the easy one. Other options are Mega Sentinel, Red Skull could do it if you want to pair a Red Skull with a Crossbones for a later node in the map, which I'll get to in a bit. And then champs like Void could probably work here as well, anyone with heavy Nullify. And the second fight in Path 1 is the Deathless Thanos. Now, this is a bit of a tricky placement. Ideally, you want a Wags here. If not, then it can still be done by certain champs. I think we sent Shathra there. Either anyone without debuffs, anyone with passive grit, like Beta Ray Bill, he would probably be pretty good there. If you can play around the unblockable perfectly fine, Dust could probably work. Yeah, or maybe anyone with heavy Nullify if you're using, maybe Kushala, if she's open, could work, because you have Wags, you can block unblockables, you can Nullify. Kushala works pretty well. Yeah, moving on to Path 2. Wong. I think we sent Photon here. Photon works pretty well. Silk can do it. Spider-Ham can do it. There's a lot of options in this node. In short, you don't want buffs, and you want to make sure that you're well out of the way of his special attacks if you do have buffs. Ideally, Neutralize Immune Spider-Woman would probably work pretty well there, but you'd want to avoid your Fury buffs expiring, because that would feed his prowess, and if you fuck up, then that is going to be a lot of damage. Iron Man Infinity War on the root node. This is more of a diversity placement. Gallon treads that. Any Cosmic with like Deathless Thanos. There's not really much going on there. The only thing to watch out for is the Amplify node. With Iron Man's last 15% where he gets that passive power gain. If you can avoid that completely with Armor Shatter from someone like Medusa or Deathless Thanos, then that works. If not, just nuke it with Galen or something like that. Maybe Torch works as well. Get past it before it becomes a problem. Red Skull on the next node, on node 3. This is a Bastavoid placement. With the main options are Kushala, a really high sig Gladiator. Scream could do it as well. I'll be honest, I don't know who else. Off the top of my head, it's been a long day at work. Can't think of who else to send. Mordo on the next node. This is the node we've been seeing a hell of a lot Enchantress on, so I'm going to talk about Enchantress there first. Because whoever you're sending to Enchantress there, you're also sending to Mordo there. So Spider-Woman was our top option for Enchantress. Other options were Torch and Photon. They both work really well for that. I say really well, they work well enough. And yeah, those 3 champs mainly would work for that. Mordo as well. But this is a lot more flexible than Enchantress, so you can also have champs here that don't require to be heavy Enchantress counters. Idoom on the next node. This is a bit of a weird placement. I don't know why they put this here, but any Cosmic really. This isn't really a difficult fight, so Deathless Thanos, Galen, Serpent. Oh well, Serpent was banned pretty much all season. Yeah, this whoever you want really. If this can be taken by literally anyone. If you are too worried about reverse controls, Shock Immune. Because if you don't have, or if you have Shock Immunity, Idoom does next to no damage to you. And also, I'd recommend on this node, unless you're using a robot, take Willpower off. Or unless you're using somebody whose regenerate can't be modified. Hang on a sec, while I'm here, I'm just going to make sure my microphone's on. Yep, it is. And that's staying in, because this is going to be a full cut. So, Rintrah, next. There's, again, not really sure why this was placed here, but I think it was just so that, well, because of his long special animations, if he throws one, then you're going to struggle to get 15 hits in. I like any Neutralize Immune here, so Photon or Spider-Woman. Void can work pretty well as well. Yeah, if you have a Neutralize Immune, you just shut down all of Rintrah's defensive kit. And yeah, you just want to try and play as aggressive. Play as aggressive as possible. Sasquatch next. Sasquatch is a champion. He's definitely a champion. Anyone without any energy damage over time, which again, there's a lot here that you can do. Like Photon, Spider-Woman. Again, I'm saying the same champs over and over again. While they are available and while they're not getting banned, they're very interchangeable. Spider-Woman's whitelisted for this whole tactic, so I'm more than going to say Spider-Woman, especially for this version of map. Yeah, just don't send someone like Torch with Flame on, because she'll do no damage. Dazzler can take that as well. Anyone that can knock down easily and also doesn't have any damage over time that's energy damage. Shuri here. Ideally, you send someone that can parry non-contacts. Again, this pair, a Photon for this pair would be pretty much perfect. Other than that, you just want to intercept or have someone that can get easy openings. And then maybe use the relic or special attacks to knock down and then do damage that way. If you don't want somebody that, or if you don't have somebody that can easily parry non-contacts. Deathless Thanos or Chavez or someone that can heavy stun through a combo also worked pretty well there. So yeah, moving on. We've got Bastion next on the Prowess node. Again, a bit of a weird placement. There are a couple of champs that can counter miss. The main thing here, you want to just block his special one. You want to play it as safe as possible. Make sure that you can count to 10. I say that and I can't. Yeah, pretty much anyone really. Just be very careful and block the special one, because he's not going to go unblockable, and the only way that he will clip you is if you miss time or hit him during his falter. Easy way around that, bring a miscounter, like potentially Bullseye or something. I don't know who in Tactic has a miscounter, but there's also champs that are falter immune, like Prowler and Spiral, that could potentially, that you might need to path in at some point. And for the Spider Ham, I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to say this a lot. This is a weird defense. But Spider Ham, literally anyone works here. Any skill champ. Or not even just skill champ, just anyone. As long as you throw your special one the second you get it, there's not really much risk on this fight. Try not to bring a Purify champ. Just play around his spider nonsense, and there is zero issue here. Like, Nick Fury would nuke that. Mole Man, if need be, would nuke that. You've got champs like Bullseye that you could assign at some point, maybe. That is also potential for, like, if you need to, if you can't path split somewhere, then yeah, that's pretty much perfect. Right, moving on. I hope this is the right way. Yep. I mean, it don't matter. I've made an album now, so I don't dox myself again. Mangog next. I sound like a broken record at this point. Just send any science champ, any tactic science champ, because there is nothing there. Mangog can't purify. If you do see somebody there that can purify, like for example a Chioth, the main options that you want to send are champs that don't inflict debuffs on hit. You could run. You could do this without Wags. Ideally, you have Wags here, but yeah, Wags is not needed. You could send somebody like Warlock, someone like Sentinel, someone that's bleed immune, that doesn't have debuffs on hit, and then just don't throw specials. I've done it in one of my war vids with Sentinel with a Wags. I could definitely have done it without. It wasn't a very difficult fight, per se. And it didn't even take that long. But yeah, whenever you see a Purify champ on Node 7, then just be careful. And next up, Omega Sentinel there. Not really much to worry about. Again, a Wags would be helpful there because of the Tranquilize node. Or somebody with extra ability accuracy on the parry debuffs, or the parry stuns. Usually we see champs like Wong there, or any champs that can deal damage back that get boosted by the Aggression Fury. Like the main scary one for me last season was Nico, because the burst off the special one that you block, it got amplified by the Aggression Fury. In those scenarios, Wags is half essential, just so that you can actually safely avoid the damage back threat. I've seen people one-tap a Wong at 100 energy and die instantly, like 250k burst. Main champs I like there are Silk, because she can just nuke it. Other champs, again, like Warlock, could do it. I've seen Arcade there as well. Warlock is perfect for that. Or, again, champs like Sentinel, who have extra ability accuracy on their personal debuffs that can get past the Tranquilize. And yeah, few Trampman on the Rage node. This is actually a really annoying placement. I had no idea what to send there to start with. I'm pretty sure we ended up sending I-Bomb because his basic attacks don't deal much damage. Few Trampman doesn't have any defense mechanism against poison. And I-Bomb's also tactic, so that counts. Tactic isn't really that big this season, either way. Yeah, I-Bomb, maybe Torch could work as well with Flame On. But for this node specifically, you want to avoid green and orange boosts. keep your attack as low as possible so that if you crit, you've got minimal chance at triggering rage. And then Attuma on the next node. I see what they were going for with this, but Atuma's ability accuracy, I'm pretty sure, cannot be modified outside of his own abilities. So the extra ability accuracy node makes no difference there. And also, he has no buffs or anything, so he can't really nullify. This is mainly just a potion eater, or some way to path split to get an Attuma counter there. Just anyone with non-contact or that reflects Thorns damage, like Dazzler. Anyone with non-contact, like, say... Who has non-contact? Like maybe Dust with her light attacks. Or maybe, I know it's classed as advantage, but he's whitelisted. Nefaria can do this. Yeah. Penny on node 9. That is, again, another annoying placement. I ended up using Gallon and just firming the damage from the debuffs. It wasn't a lot, because I had one debuff on me at a time. I barely hit him. Hit her. Yeah, this wasn't too bad. Originally I had Corvus assigned because that's 2 free Corvus charges. But then it quickly hit me, oh yeah, I really don't want to rank 3 Corvus. So, as a planner, I have that luxury. If you get told to rank 3 someone, you rank 3 them as a member. Especially in GT40. But, yeah. Moving on. Bishop. On this node, there's a few options here. You've got all your dual immunes work pretty well, like Warlock, like Sentinel can do this. Ultron can do it. You could potentially drop an Odin there and have someone like Sentinel, have someone like... I said Sentinel already, didn't I? Have Prowler do it, maybe Future Ant-Man, if you need one of them, because he has the Incinerate reduction as well. Yeah, usually we see mutants there, like Weapon X, Havoc, stuff like that. Right, moving on. Section 2. Kindred on this first node. On high energy diet. That is a pretty decent placement, to be fair. Just because a lot of Kindred's counters, especially in the tactic pool, have energy damage. Main one that I'd send here is Spider-Woman. She deals with that pretty well. If not, then Tigra also works pretty well. I think that's what we actually ended up sending. And then Photon on the next node. If you can path a Crossbones with the Red Skull synergy to make him nullify immune, that works perfectly because that means you just completely avoid buffet. Other than that, I think that Dazzler can work here as well, because again, nullify immune and can dodge Photon. And then Mantis could do it. I just don't assign Mantis much in War anymore, unless it's needed. Yeah, that's what I'd send there. Nick Fury there. There's not a lot that can't take this. You just need to throw your specials quite early. This is not the best placement for Nick. I can see the vision where you have to dash back multiple times, but there's not really much that you need to... Like, you're blocking Nick's specials anyway, and you're not dashing that much in a special too. The amplified regen doesn't really do a lot for him there, because it if you get him to second life, he's dropping down to 30% on his own anyway, so as long as you can nuke that last 30%, then you're bliss. Maestro on EMP, that was a really annoying placement for us pretty much all season. My main option that I'd send is Shathra with an Odin, because she's a really good counter to Maestro anyway, but we wanted her for another fight, I think. That node in general is a bit annoying. You want to send Odins there most of the time, because they'll, defense placement wise, people will try and place fights where you can't take it with somebody without an Odin. Like, their counter isn't shock immune. like Maestro, for example. I can't think of a Maestro counter off the top of my head that is shock immune. So it's not really a fun fight. Gore on this node, I see the vision with this. Any heavy nullify champ works here, especially with the node being opportunist. Most people that will be placed here will have a lot of buffs. So say champs like Longshot, like Sim Supreme, that have really easy access to nullify. If you're feeling a bit risky, Kushala with her special one as well. Just be careful with Kushala if you are building up a lot of ignition buffs, because that won't be fun if you get hit. And then Dust on this safeguard node. Don't really see Dust here a lot. If anything, you see Dust on path 4. But here, I think we just sent Ironheart. She's a really good Dust counter in general. Other champs, Prowler could do this. Anyone with damage over time that isn't poison, shock, or bleed, and that you can easily alternate combos with. So maybe Few Trampman as well can get past it with the with his Disintegrate, or Bastion can do this. Moving on, Void on path 4. This is a bit of an annoying node for him because he gets the extra... He places debuffs whenever he throws a special. Mantis can just completely shut down all the debuffs if you play it right with her Tranquilize. Other options are Mole Man and Nick Fury. You can get the massive Fury from Purifying. And just nuke it because you deal that much damage. Then Null on that node. Main option here is Wiccan, because can block unblockable from the start. Other options, I think I've sent Absman there as well. There's not really a lot that you can send there, to be fair, with Null. A bit of an annoying placement, and it is a good placement for path splitting, especially if you don't place any defenders in section 1 that those two champs can't take. Usually we see Dust here as well. I'll mention that quickly. 4B Dust, or steady build up unblockable Dust. Ironheart, absolutely far and through the best option. Other options are Silk and Kushala that can also work for that pretty well. Just thought I'd mention it while we're on the subject. Nova on that node. I honestly can't remember what's in here. I think Photon for the most part, because miscounter plus you can get easy intercepts with your Untouchable, and if Nova happens to parry you with an auto block, then she goes untouchable. Other options, I think Kushala can work here. I haven't tried it, but in theory Spiral works because she can destroy the Fury buff, and also she is immune to Falter. Domino on the next node, literally any Domino counter works on this. If it was me, I'd just send a Prowler, because there is not much need for anything else. Domino, there's a lot of counters for her now. Any tech champ that has increased ability accuracy or ability accuracy immunity, then they work pretty well there. Okay, Warlock on the next node. I can see why they placed that there, because of how long that you don't get any buffs or anything for. His infection could be annoying. Anyone with power drain immunity, any cosmic tactic can take that fairly easily. I think I took this with Galen, that war. Galen is a pretty good option. You could also say, if you've ramped a Corvus, send that. I know you'd not start with the charges, but you just nuke it before it becomes a problem anyway. And the Apocalypse, there's not really much going on there. Again, any tech champ, really. You can have a Wags here as well for said tech champ. It would make it easier to control Conflictor, but it's not needed at all. Like any tech champ can just take that, really. Moving on. Dark Phoenix on Thorns. This is a little bit of a bastard of placement. So, the obvious option is Nico. I don't think Well, I know. Well, I'm not sure if she benefits from Wags or not, or I'm not sure if it'd be important because the buff immunity, I'm assuming, is a debuff. I know on defense it's a passive. I don't know if it goes to passive on attack because I've not used it before, but Neeko, in theory, should absolutely annihilate that. Other options, Shathra should get that down really quick before Thorns or Nova Flame or anything become an issue. Possibly Diablo. I don't think that'd work very well. Potentially Nefaria as well. It'd be playing around a fully unblockable Dark Phoenix, but yeah, I'll be honest, I can't remember what we actually sent there. But main options that I'd look at are Spiral. Not Spiral. Spiral probably wouldn't work there very well because there's too many hits. Main options are Shathra and Neeko. And the Korg on the next node, you've got anyone that can counter Shrug, works there pretty well. Anyone with energy damage on base hits that doesn't inflict debuffs to feed the Energize from his rock stacks, also works pretty well there. Mainly non-shruggers, like someone like Omega Red or Apocalypse, for example, that just reduce the Purify ability accuracy. North Star on that node, that's a really weird one because North Star is usually placed on the node afterwards. On that node, or well, on both nodes, Prowler works pretty well. If they have Willpower, Warlock works well for the second node. He works well regardless for the first node. Pretty much any tech champ can take that. Just alternate combos, keep an eye out for the Amplify. Oh, it's not Amplify, the Intensify. Increase in the power gain potency. And then for the Cersei, Shathra, Longshot, anyone that can just shut down buffs and knock down easily makes that a joke. I think Longshot did that in like less than 20 seconds. And Path 9 now, Enchantress, because this node has Cold Snap immunity, Torch is immune to Cold Snap. Human Torch nukes that. There's not really... they tried placing that not thinking that Human Torch was Cold Snap immune. I'm 90% sure that's the case. Yeah, other than Torch, Spider-Woman can work here as well because she's poison immune. And yeah, anyone that's dual immune can do pretty well there. And yes, that's a weird placement for Enchantress. I've never seen that outside of this war. And then Scream on the next node. I can see the vision. Like they were thinking that people would block bait heavies and she would throw heavies and be able to auto block you. For this, I just sent Kushala. CGR could work here as well because dual immune. Anyone that's dual immune, anyone that's bleed and incinerate immune, you just have to make sure that you intercept and either don't hit when stunned or just go for intercept. Or hit minimally when stunned. Because then otherwise that takes all the defensive threat away from that fight. Now, I'll have to stay on this page. So, Mr. Sinister on the regen node. Anyone with heal block. Any tech. There's a lot of tech champs with heal block. You've got Warlock, you've got Omega Sentinel, you've got Red Skull. Champs like that. Anyone that can just block it out. Warlock, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best option here because his is passive, and when he throws a special attack, it won't get shrugged. You could also use Sentinel for this and just keep the heal block up because of the power efficiency that he has. Yeah. Medusa on that node. I understand where this is coming from. I understand the placement. Anyone with a Wags that can just deal damage via heavy attacks works pretty well. I think we sent Shathra here. She doesn't benefit from Wags, but she is also unblockable and only uses one hit of her heavy to really do damage. And also has the Atrophy as well. Ebony Maw on the power gain node. Anyone with Odin's here, so ideally, coming into the coordination section of this, anyone for the the EMP mod node there that you've got Odin's on, ideally, you want them taking this, because you have Odin buffs anyway. I think we sent it was either Torch or Photon to this. I can't remember which one, but they'd both deal with this pretty well. As long as you're in control of buffs, then it should not be an issue. For most of the time, if like a Cosmic's placed there, say, I've seen Deathless Thanos placed there a lot. And before we'd send Shathra with Odin's to Maestro, she'd already have Odin's for the Thanos. Be able to control the power gain easier. Yeah, works out. Now, next up, we have Arcade on Mixmaster. It's a weird placement, sure, but it can work. It can be a bit of a scary fight, because you're dealing with auto block potentially if you mess up, and evade at the same time. And also you can't stun, so if you are in the corner, he will stun you. I understand the defensive placement. Any Cosmic tactic, or any good Cosmic anyway, so like Thanos, like Galen, like if she's open, or if he's open Serpent, they work pretty well there. Or even if you've got a ramped Corvus, that works even better, because you've got True Strike then if you bring the Proximus energy. Onslaught, you can use Jack-O-Lantern, you can use Shocker, you can use... we sent Ironheart a lot. You can use someone like Dazzler. I think I did it with Bastion as well. Bastion, if he's open, works really well. Yeah, this is a pretty good placement. You just need to be careful, really. Maker as well, because he's Neuroshock immune. That takes most of Onslaught's defensive threat away. Jean here, anyone that doesn't crit will avoid having any exhaustion debuffs on them. So Jack-O-Lantern is perfect here, because he's reverse controls immune and also doesn't crit. If you're alright playing with reverse controls, then someone that... anyone that doesn't crit also works here pretty well. You could also have Ironheart here, because she can... she's reverse controls immune and can block unblockable. I think she's the only one that can actually do that. But yeah, moving on. Shocker on Shock Incinerate. Be honest, didn't really know what to send here. Captain Marvel movie works pretty well, if you get a chance to ramp her previously. Who did I actually send? Nefaria could work here, because he's dual immune. Well, dual pseudo-immune, but it's that strong that it's basically dual immune. I think we sent Carolina here. Yeah, Carolina was what we sent, because she's Incinerate immune and can deal with this pretty well. Spidey Supreme, because if you want to actually deal with the node, like if you're more RPG in your way of planning like I am, there's not too many champs that can take this. So there's buff immune champs that are poison immune, such as Ant-Man and Cassie. I think I sent Ant-Man originally, but then I saw a video of Human Torch just nuking the shit out of this, and the poison and rupture didn't even get him down to like 70%. You just blocked a bunch before going in and countered his miss completely, and that was it. This Bullseye here, again, I would send Onslaught or Sinister normally, but they are both banned. I used Bastion for this. Bastion was really good. Other than that, Kushala could work pretty well here. You just have to play a little bit around Conflictor. Gentle could also work pretty well here, because he's bleed immune. Yeah, I'm not sure who else really would work there. Moving on. Serpent. Standard placement for Serpent. Shathra, Kushala, Spiral, all work pretty well for him there. Purgatory, if you can ramp her as well, really good for that. And then the Zola. We liked sending Spider-Woman here because she can heavy counter the heavy and also has access to shock. Sentinel could also probably do this, but I just didn't want to because I hate fighting Zola. Other than that, Beta Ray Bill can probably still do that there. iDoom could also probably still take that. You just have to watch out for the tactic damage. Adam here, very weird placement. Usually if there's a Cosmic there, I like sending Spiral because she is Falter immune and can destroy the Fury buffs. It just makes that node so much easier. Normally, we've been seeing champs like Onslaught or Sentinel there. For those two, I just send Ironheart, because Ironheart is... well, she's good. She's really good for war. She counters the miss completely and just deals with them both very, very easily. And speaking of Ironheart, she's exactly who I'd send to that Sentinel on that next node. Outside of that, Human Torch can take that fairly easily without the pre-fight. You can take it with pre-fight, but without pre-fight you're actually building power, and you can also ramp your Smolders off of Sentinel's special 1. And now for your Yelena boss. If people don't target ban around this, you've got, out of who's regularly left open, you've got Jean Grey, you've got Deadpool X-Force, and then a potential one is Gentle. I'm not a big fan of that, but I guess it could work. And then also, I'm not sure how well she'll do against Stun Immune, but Cassandra Nova could also probably take that if you have her. She will be probably available towards the early or really late next season, unless people spent and got her. Not 100% sure. But yeah, that's the original. I say not original. The part of this video where I just talk about counters to each fight. What I like to do now is go through coordination. So, for the Yelena boss, I would assign that first. I'd look around the map and I would say, okay, is there any way that I can path somebody with the counter? So, like, for example, one that's fairly easy to work off of is Jean Grey. If Jean Grey's open, I see your Yelena boss, I'm like, okay, I want to send Jean Grey. Look around the map. So, is there any minis here that I can send Jean Grey to? Not on this island. Not on either of those two, and not on that island. Okay. Where can I possibly path her? And first thought would be either that Korg or that Nick Fury. Ideally, she's got Purify in her own abilities, so I wouldn't send it to the Korg. Nick Fury is the best option. But the guy that has our Jean Grey doesn't have an option for the Maestro, so it's either a path split or I just don't assign him in that section. Moving on. Oh, Atuma. Jean Grey can probably do that pretty well. Look at assigning her there. Doesn't have to be assigned in section 2, as long as I can path somebody with the other champs that they've got. Luckily, our Jean Grey also had a rank 4 I-bomb, so that was fairly easy to assign to that one. Looking at the other bits, nowhere I'd assign her, so that would work out there. Is there anywhere in section 2 that I can path I-bomb and Jean Grey? Looking at it, no. So at that point, I'd probably not even bother. Unless, well, not even unless, I just wouldn't even bother. So I'd look at sending somebody else first. I can't remember what exactly we did, but we might have still gone with that, and I might have just kept him as backup. So, actually, no, I do remember. So we did send that. So like I-bomb, Jean, and then their third was Carolina. So I would have sent them somewhere, either path split in section 2, so they had the Nick, and then they went and took the Shocker afterwards with Carolina, and I think they might have even taken the Arcade with Carolina as well. Sorry, my voice is starting to go. I've been talking too much. But yeah, that was alright, and then I potentially put a path split on for Sentinel, because Carolina, in theory, can do that. Then I'd look at the other mini-bosses, so say, for example, Sentinel. I want to send Ironheart there, for example. Where else can Ironheart go? Oh, she can take the Onslaught. Or, I think I took Onslaught that war. Oh, Ironheart can take the Jean Grey, so assign Ironheart to Jean Grey as the mini-boss. Are there any others? Not ideally. So then I'd look for paths. She could potentially take that North Star. Could potentially take the Dust here. I think I end up sending them to Dust. And then look in section 1. Is there anywhere that Ironheart can go? Not that I like. Maybe Storm X, but that seems a bit of a push. And yeah, that'd be that. Look around. Next mini boss is Zola. Zola we'd send Spider-Woman to. This is a lot easier. Spider-Woman is a common assignment, so we'd send her there. Look back. Possibly send... actually, no, I wouldn't send Spider Supreme. Fuck that. Not really any minis we'd send her to. At a very big push, the more if we had spare Odins, because she does have her own buffs. Spider-Woman to that Enchantress is perfect. Doesn't really fit in much anywhere else other than the Kindred. Could send it to either one of those. If there was a Spider-Woman placed on node 42 where that Jean Grey... Oh, hello. Where that Jean Grey is, we normally see Spider-Woman there. So, say a Spider-Woman Crossbones Red Skull team would be perfect to go up path 1. Spider-Woman take the Kindred, Crossbones take the Photon, and then Crossbones also take the Spider-Woman on that node 42. Speaking of that, that was a really common placement last season. Probably going to be just as common this season. Other options outside of Crossbones are Shang-Chi. Worked really well. Even though I died, I just got greedy and fucked up. And yeah, I honestly don't know who else. Patriot, now that he's buffed. Patriot would be really good for that. And yeah, where else? So, in section 1, could send Spider-Woman to Wong, potentially. Could send to Rintra, could send to Sasquatch. There's a lot of different options. And then we talk through like more coordination with the minis. Is there anyone that can take multiple minis? Like, for example, my team this war. I'll talk for mine specifically because I do actually remember this war. My team was Gallon, Bastion, and I think, was it Wags? I can't remember. I know I used Gallon and Bastion all war. So what I did, I looked at my mini bosses and my paths. So I looked at the minis. I said, what minis can I take? Nothing up there, really, yet. What can I take with these champs? So I looked at assigning Bastion to myself. I was like, okay, so we've got someone on the Jean Grey, which means that and he's the Ironheart guy, he normally takes that Onslaught, so I'll take that Onslaught with Bastion. Is there anything else I can take with Bastion? Oh, Bastion would be absolutely perfect for that Bullseye, because he's pseudo-immune and also reduces the ability accuracy of Cold Snap. Doesn't have any of his own personal debuffs. If I bring Wags as well, I can Wags that fight myself, completely avoid Conflictor, and I've got a perfect option for that node. And then I'd look back. Okay, so I've got 2 Bastion fights. Where else can Bastion go? Bastion could take North Star, Bastion could take Apocalypse, could take Domino. That's 3 options there. He could take the Dust. He could also take that Bishop. So that is me on that path with Bastion and Wag so far. On path 9 into path 6. And then I'd look at the options. So luckily it was very nicely placed where I could bring one option for 2 fights and still have room to bring a pre-fight. So I could either do something like I would in section 1 here, where I'm assigning Photon to both of these fights because she's I say both of these. I'm pointing at the fucking screen like you guys can see me. What am I doing? For the Sasquatch and the Shuri, I really hope I've not been doing that in this past video. I'm not watching this back. I don't have time. If I have been, just call me a twat in the comments. Yeah, for the Sasquatch and the Shuri, I'd assign Photon to both of those. So that would leave room anywhere in section 2 to assign 2 champs if need be. And then also Photon is available for that Maw mini-boss that I talked about here. With me, I've got an option for this Warlock fight, and I have an option for this Penny fight. So originally I was assigned Corvus. I assigned myself Corvus. And then I thought, Gallon is just a really good Penny counter in general. I could probably get that down in 2 harvests before she even gets to, before any problems actually occur with the hazard shift. And also I have physical resistance, a lot of it, which reduces rupture damage. And then I thought I'll just wait out the fisticuffs, and then Gallon's a pretty good option for Warlock. So luckily I was able to path myself, path 9, path 6, 2 mini-bosses. Tends to be that case for some wars, other wars not so much, but this is what makes planning difficult. So the way that people like to set out their defensive maps is to try and limit counters wherever possible. Because you've only got 3 champs per team, you want to try to make it so that you want to assign at least 4 champs in every section, if that makes sense. So you don't, or at very least you want to force matchups that aren't ideal. So for this, for example, for the Maestro Nick, you'd want, in a perfect world, you'd want a good Nick Fury counter and then a good Maestro counter with Odin's, and that's 3 champs on your team. But you're not going to be able to fit that in section 1 for the most part. If they've set up a good defense, that is going to be really annoying to assign somewhere in section 1. So the way I like to look at defense is to think of annoying placements and maximize on them as much as possible by trying to force path splits. So you can send 2, because there's 10 people and 9 paths, you can send 2 people down 1 lane. But you can't do that everywhere. To make a good defense, you want to do that. You want to try and make that happen in as many places as possible, because that then forces people to send fights or send matchups that are not good. Which is why planning well takes so long. I think the longest plan I had this season was nearly 2 hours. The quickest one was about 45 minutes. But it can take that long, and it's still, even for the people at the top, such as myself, it does take that long. And good plans don't come overnight. You've got to it takes a lot of time to get into planning and to get good at planning. It doesn't just happen. Even if you're one of the best strategists in the game, it's not easy. And it's not for everyone, which is why I'm trying to put this video out to help. I will do more next season. I don't know if I will be able to get another one out this season. And I will make sure that I don't fucking dox myself again. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hopefully this was helpful. If it is, please let me know. If not, then Tell me what I can do to improve. If you're gonna criticize, at least be constructive. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I will more than happily take any form of criticism as long as it is constructive and not just saying, you're shit. Tell me why it's shit. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.